What's the most important three-game stretch for Alabama in the 2025 college football season? Like the three games that will define the Crimson Tide underneath Kalen DeBoer in year two. Well, it also depends on how you feel about Alabama. I bought a lot of stock on the Crimson Tide this upcoming fall. Love their quarterback room. Love their defense. I think they can win an SEC title. I think they can mess around and win a national title underneath Kalen DeBoer in year two. But these three games will truly signal what Alabama was in 2025. And I think it's abundantly clear. It's got to be against South Carolina, LSU, and Oklahoma. Let's break it all down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. Crimson Tide faithful. Make sure you like the video, hit the ring notification, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com and give us a follow at SEC Unfiltered. And as always, we're proudly brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Go visit FANDUEL.com/SECU. Join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Look at the lines right now going into week one out in Tallahassee. Hammer the over in points for Alabama. Hammer the over in Ty Simpson being invited to the Big Apple. Hammer the over in Alabama winning the SEC title. And when you do all those things, do so at FANDUEL.com/SECU. So again, I'm not saying that the Georgia game isn't important. Beating Georgia and them losing for the first time since 2019, massive for Alabama. Winning in Jordan-Hare, the Iron Bowl, massive for Kalen DeBoer, especially because of the game is in Jordan-Hare. And the third Saturday in October carries a lot of weight, and that was nearly a thought. But these three games are against three teams that all are gunning for the college football playoff, and people are invested believing that they can win the college football playoff, or at least make it to the Dozen Dance. Let's start off with the first game on the road, Williams-Brice Stadium. You and I both remember what happened last year in Tuscaloosa. A fourth quarter disaster that resulted in Lenore Sellers' breakout party, big time touchdown pass to Mazeo Bennett, the toe tapping grab by Nick Harbor, and a 2-point conversion that probably would have sent this game into overtime and maybe would have led to South Carolina punching its ticket to the college football playoff if not for an errant pass. That's what was on display. Well, Lenore Sellers is a year older, and he's gotten more refined as a passer. They also have receivers that they bought a lot of stock into, with Mazeo Bennett coming on back. We saw what he did last season down at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Nick Harbor didn't want to try to become the fastest man in the world. Instead, he focused in on being a college football player. And so that's benefited for building that relationship with Sellers. They also have some young freshmen like Malik Clark. They have Jared Brown on the roster. So it's a three-tandem set that absolutely can go ahead and beat you. I don't know what the running back situation is, which we're still facing at the time of this recording. I don't know what the defense is going to be for Clayton White this year. Because you no longer have Kyle Kennard or Debo Williams or Tonka Hemingway or Nicky Manwari, but you still have some very good players like Jelon Kilgore in the secondary, like Dylan Stewart coming off of the edge, like Justin Okoronkwo coming on in from Alabama as your new starting middle linebacker, and Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy coming on in from Texas A&M. A really good interior pass rusher that against most offensive linemen could probably eat their lunch and get to your quarterback. And then we got to throw in the fact that this is going to be homecoming at Willie B. For those of you that don't know what Willie B is, let me just explain. It is the ultimate cathedral of chaos. It carries itself like it is filled to the brim with 110,000 people, despite only fitting roughly about 80,000 people. You close your eyes and you're standing on the sidelines as Sandstorm is playing, and you would never be able to tell that you weren't in Baton Rouge or in Neyland or in the Big House or in the Shoe or in Bryant-Denny for that matter when you play against Georgia. That's how ravenous that atmosphere is, and it's that way for 4 quarters of action. So at any point, you could watch as Alabama has the lead and they're driving and they feel the momentum, but a pick six happened. Jelon Kilgore runs it back 72 yards, and momentum goes in favor of the Cox. Oh, and by the way, this is in Cocktober, which is, again, another big-time deal, and it leads into Nov Beamer. And if you don't know anything about Nov Beamer, a patent-pending coin that I'm trying to get actually phrased, that's where you really see Shane Beamer come into his element and hit the over in win totals and prove that he is one of the better coaches in the SEC. So this is a homecoming game, it's a revenge game, and it's also a matchup where absolutely you look at South Carolina. They want a feather in the cap to prove that at 9-3 or 10-2, they're not going to be left out of the college football playoff. Yeah, we beat Alabama. We beat Bama, the favorites in some people's minds to win the SEC and go on a run to the college football playoff. So that's bold prediction number 1. That's first game. Number 2, you get the bye week, which is good, but then you welcome in LSU. And I don't know if you know this about history, but I'll just go ahead and give you a little bit of a lesson. LSU every single year that has been in the national title has beaten Alabama. Now, I didn't say win it, because in 2011, they didn't win it. Alabama got the revenge factor. But in 2003, Nick Saban walked on into Bryant-Denny Stadium before he was the head coach for Alabama, and he beat Alabama. And then in 2007, Les Miles marched on into Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it was Nick Saban's first year, and he beat Alabama. And then Les Miles came back in 2011, and then we saw Ed Orgeron, Joe Burrow, and a countless cast of NFL players come on in 2019, and we're out to having one of the greatest seasons that we've ever watched offensively for an LSU's Tigers roster. In the game that was the all-time game, because if you still had Tua Tagovailoa and great running back groups, regardless of that, this is a game that LSU has to win to guarantee it can be viewed as a national champion threat, at least in my opinion. But imagine if this is the year where, hey, new quarterback, you guys are the veteran team, you guys feel like that you've addressed most of your needs in the portal, and we changed up our offensive identity. Like last season, we watched as Jalen Milroe just put everybody on the LSU defense on skates. And what if we don't see that, but instead we watch a clinic and surgically smooth Ty Simpson just force feeding balls across the middle of the field, and there's Ryan Williams for a gain of 25. And there's Jeremy Bernard at the back of the end zone for a 32-yard touchdown. Oh, and there's Isaiah Horton on the outside with an 18-yard pickup. And it's just momentum after momentum after momentum. And Garrett Nussmeier, who, yes, did have over 4,000 passing yards last season, also throws 2 unforgivable interceptions in the red zone that cost LSU a shot at going to Atlanta. And this is the game, in my opinion, that guarantees Alabama locked in for a 9-win season. They win this game, no questions asked. Alabama will once again go 9-3 at the worst. Not saying at the best, I'm saying at the worst, they would go 9-3. I also think that there has to be a little bit of momentum in this game because you beat LSU in their backyard in Death Valley. You're able to put belt to ass against a Brian Kelly-led team with the same quarterback that's coming on in. But wouldn't you want to make a statement that, hey, I'm the new coach on the block. I get it. I'm replacing Nick Saban. There's a lot of things that I'm changing about the identity and the culture of our program. But death taxes us beating you in our backyard. It's still the same. Like nothing has changed in that standpoint. You're still LSU, who cannot win except for a hot skip and a quick cup of coffee every once in a while here in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And we get to come to your backyard and we beat you more than you win there. Wouldn't that just be a great feeling if you're an Alabama fan to know, hey, our coach understands these games, these high intense matchups, they're the ones that we have got to make sure that we wake up for. And they do. And they ball on out. And the defense is phenomenal. And they put pressure on Garrett Nussmeier. And the offense is phenomenal. And you're starting to see a Biletnikoff award-winning season for maybe Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard or Isaiah Horton, who comes on in and is this year's Jamison Williams 2.0. And the offensive line is holding against this defensive front. And lo and behold, it's a 10-point victory or a 20-point victory. And the Crimson Tide are coasting going into their next game, which is another big game. But at least coming off a bye week, you didn't lose the aura, you didn't lose the identity, and you didn't lose focus. You're built to go on a run to Atlanta. And then there's game number 3. And in my opinion, it probably is the one that I am the most fixated on. It's Oklahoma. Because I'm going to be completely real. I'm buying a lot of stock into what Ben Arbuckle is selling. I'm buying a lot of stock into what John Mateer is selling. I think that both of them coming together is going to do wonders for this offense. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to lead to them having a renaissance type year where they lead the SEC in passing yards, scoring, and third down conversions, but there are 2 things that worry me if I am an Alabama fan. Number 1, my defense last year had struggles stopping Jackson Arnold in the middle of the field. Jackson Arnold is a good runner. Jackson Arnold is not known for being a mobile player. Jackson Arnold is known for being a pocket passer that can move outside the pocket. That's what he's known for. John Mateer is not. John Mateer is known as a runner. It's why he led college football last season in total scrimmage yards. It's why he led college football last year in total touchdowns, because if you had to factor in his legs, which was a big time deal, 29 passing touchdowns, but also remember, 15 rushing touchdowns, 826 total yards. That means something. So if you had struggles last season on the road in Memorial against a quarterback that isn't known for running, you may have struggles again. And this defense, I'm always going to trust underneath Brent Venables. Yes, did they lose some talent like Danny Stutzman, like Billy Bowman, like one of their edge rushers with Burke. Yes, they did. I'm not going to say on that, but they still have some very promising names. Robert Spears-Jennings did not lead the program. Peyton Bowen did not lead the program. They brought in Kendall Daniels, who at one point was the Oklahoma Player of the Year, and he was also the Big 12 Freshman or Newcomer of the Year when he was at Oklahoma State. They have Arm Mason Thomas coming off of the edge. They still have some really good depth with Maniac Williams at defensive tackle. And then David Stone's supposed to have a bigger role this season. So Brent Venables, who I trust as a play caller on the defensive side, is going to scheme up a path. Because at this point, this may be Oklahoma's last shot of guaranteeing it at least is in the conversation for the college football playoff. He's going to deal up a game plan that is going to be challenging. And the biggest thing that I worry about for Alabama, you come off back-to-back signature wins, and you did this last year. You beat South Carolina. You beat LSU. You're starting to gain that momentum, and you feel like that you can take your foot off the gas just a little bit. It's Oklahoma. It's on the road. They're not a good team. Their offense is pedestrian at best. They've already fired their offense coordinator. They have to win this game to go to a bowl game and keep their streak alive. Oh, and then you're down by 20, and everything goes south. And now you're praying to God that the College Football Playoff Committee is going to see you with wins over Georgia and wins over LSU and say that's enough to put them in the College Football Playoff. That's what you're hoping for. And that can't be the case. It can't. You can't just be winging a prayer and hoping that eventually the committee will do right. You got to make sure that you leave no doubt. And it comes against an Oklahoma team that also wants to leave no doubt that at 9-3, they're the best team worthy of that last spot in the college football playoff bid. So if you win those 3 games, yes, it would be great to see you beat Auburn. It would be awesome to see you dismantle Tennessee. And naturally, keeping the tradition alive of beating Kirby Smart and ending a winning streak at Sanford Stadium would be great. It'd be great for everybody involved, especially Kalen DeBoer trying to get the monkey off his back. But the 3 games that will define Alabama's season is at South Carolina, Willie B, which is going to be a hostile Saturday night. It's after a bye at home against LSU, a team that when they're good enough to win a national title, they win in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And then when you face off against Oklahoma, because the last thing you can afford to do is take your foot off the gas after 2 signature wins. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are the 3 most important game stretch for Alabama in your opinion? Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure that you follow us on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson and at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. Crimson Tide faithful, I believe that this is the year that Kalen DeBoer proves to you why he is the right guy. But these 3 games may also be the reason why he's firing up the resume at the season's end. Peace.